What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video we are going to try to solve a JavaScript function problem. Like here, what we are going to completely focus on is to make sure that we create a function that is going to behave exactly like math function. This math function here is actually doing something crucial, but like we need to create something that will behave exactly like this function. First of all, how is this function behaving? We need to understand the behavior of this function in order to replicate that behavior and create the function which will work exactly like it. So let's check it out. Like let's try to solve a problem or maybe do something with math.max and see how math.max work in relation to math.min, so to speak. Then after this we can be able to create something that is similar to both, so let's say console.log. Then inside here we are going to call math dot, because we need maximum, we say max like this. Then let's just give random number like 2, 4, 5, let me say 9 and 12 like that, and let's run it and see what the output is gonna be. So let me enlarge our screen a little bit, and yeah, it's giving us 12 here. You can see 12 is up here. If you're not seeing it well, this is it, 12 here. Okay, it is giving us 12. So 12 here is the maximum, and if we are to change this thing from 12 from maximum to minimum, then it is somewhat going to do something else. Like to minimum, it is going to give us the minimum value, which is 2. If you have to see through, 2 is the minimum value. So we want to create something which is going to behave exactly like this with no like any fault, so to speak. So let's get back to our editor and get our hand dirty with coding. So okay, here the first thing that we are going to focus on is to create a function, and that function is going to take in like arrays, or let me say a list of numbers, so to speak. So let's get started. Like I'm going to use arrow function, that's why I'm defining it with const. Well, that's why I'm defining it as a variable const here. Let's say max. This is our first target. We need the maximum, so to speak. Then sorry for that. Then like here we first need to define the lowest, or if suppose we are working on the high, on the lowest, we'll define the highest, minimum or maximum, so to speak. Then now let's just say, okay, here let's just say like our minimum value, or maybe let me say our maximum value, so to speak. But here we are going with minimum, so our minimum is negative infinity. And if you're asking why I'm using negative infinity, the reason is because negative infinity is the lowest number possible you can find. Now what we need to do is we need to loop through numbers, but first, before we go forward, we need to make sure that we spread through numbers here, and these numbers we're just putting as a placeholder, so that when we are calling the function, we can be able to put those numbers in that specific place, and when we put the numbers in that specific place, then it will perform the operation, so to speak. So here let's say let number of numbers. We're just trying to run some for loop. You can even use like, you can use the normal ways of using for loop, like okay, let I and all this sort of thing. The same thing will happen, but what we are actually trying to do is just to make sure that, like, yeah, you get the point. So here like this, we'll say if the number, okay, if number we are looping through up there, if that number, okay, is greater than our negative infinity or whatever, so to speak, which is our minimum, so to speak. If it is greater than our minimum, then we are going to set the minimum to that number. Okay, that is one thing that we need to understand. We are going to set the minimum to that number, so to speak, yeah, to that number. Else, if nothing is like that, then we are going to print the value. So that's why we are going to get out of the loop, and we are returning the minimum. So now if we are to test it and see how it works, in order to clear our doubt, just write max like this and give it some values, 10, 3, 4, 5, 7, and let's see what it will actually print for us. It is giving us 23, and if you are to see here, 23 is the largest. And now if you are trying like to write the operation which is similar to this, but it is working like to find a minimum number, then instead of using this aspect, you are going to you're just going to come up here. It is by choice though, because if you want to change the name of the variable or not, the operation will operate the same despite you have like change the technical part of the function, so to speak. So here we'll say the maximum number, and the maximum number is going to be infinity, which is like without end, so to speak. So here we are using max. Look at me giving myself double work. Okay, we are using max, and similarly applied here, like everything is quite the same. The only thing is because we are changing the names due to the way they sound, so that's why it is looking like it is some kind of task that need to be done really. So here, if you just come and conclude everything like this and try to run it through, it will end up producing 4. And if we are to see from operation down here, like the 4 is the lowest number in the list, you know. And with this, we have already created the entire architecture of how the math.max or math.min is actually operating. If we can see from the operation of both in comparison to the function that we created, it is actually operating similar or the same, you know. That's why if you come across such kind of challenges again, or maybe in interview or anything, that you have to create something that operates exactly like this, then definitely this is your answer. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.